Today on Commander Replay, we're back with some more Lathliss Dragon Queen against Jodah, Tatyova, and Intet the Dreamer. Find out who's got the tools to survive this absolute removal fest. Next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, I just want to take a second to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have a new Patreon supporter, David Fritz. David, you are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Before we get going, I just want to point out that this video was actually filmed in July of last year, so you'll see some things along the way that might be outdated. But I think it's still actually a really cool game with some interesting things that happened. Welcome back everyone, playing some Lathliss Dragon Queen. Take a look at our opening hand. We got 3 lands and a lot of acceleration. Yeah, we're gonna keep that. Could use another dragon. One more dragon would make me very happy. Looks like we have some fairly nasty opponents in Jodah and Tatyova. Intet the Dreamer, never really sure what they're up to. His ability is kind of hard to use, but there's definitely some things that they could cheat down. They're playing things like Divining Top and Miri's Guile and Scroll Rack. They can sculpt the top of their library the way they want it. Jodah's all about cheating stuff, and Tatyova is going to make a million lands. Brings it to our turn 1. We draw a Tectonic Edge. Let's play a mountain and tap out and pass. Opponent says that's kind of sweet dragon. Yeah, it is. Ooh, nice. We draw into our Apex of Power. It does cost 10 mana, but we have this Grim Monolith and a Ruby Medallion, so we can get there reasonably soon. Maybe not right away. Play Mountain, play Ruby Medallion, pass the turn. I am excited to try the card out, though. Hopefully no one wheels. Phyrexian Arena coming down for the Jodah opponent. And Jodah looks like they're missing many of their colors to cast their commander on time, which is good. That'll buy us some time before the big stuff starts coming down. Kodama's Reach for the Tatyova. Means that we'll probably be seeing Tatyova next turn, which is not the best. Hopefully someone brought removal. I don't know if it was just random coincidence that they are black heavy. Though I suppose they were probably trying to get down their Phyrexian Arena. I don't know, we'll see. Intet could have all kinds of removal. There's a Magma Quake. Play a mountain. Do I play the Dragon Speaker? No, I'm not going to play the Dragon Speaker right here because we're probably going to Magma Quake next turn to get rid of Tatyova. So we will play the Grim Monolith and pass a turn like that. Phyrexian Arena trigger for the Jodah. Gets to draw an extra card, loses a life. Jodah finding all the colors that do not help them for their commander. Opponent going to cast Tatyova. Yep, we will definitely be playing some removal on our turn. Teamer Ascendancy for the Intet opponent. Interesting. They also have Lightning Greaves out, so I mean, they could just cast their commander. It's going to come down with haste and be pretty big. Brings it back to our turn. We draw a Balefire Dragon. Unfortunately, no haste. Oh, man. If we had haste, I would totally use the Balefire Dragon to kill the Tatyova. But that is not an ability that we have currently. So we're just going to pass the turn with all of our mana up. And we'll see if opponent casts Jodah for any reason. They would need to hit some very specific lands to be able to do that. Actually, I don't know if there's any land that they could hit. They'd have to play 2 lands. Plays a Signet. All right, Signet might get them there. Nope. They used their white mana incorrectly. I guess that means Magma Quake. No, that means Fault Line right here, and we'll save the Magma Quake because Magma Quake hits Planeswalkers also where Fault Line does not. So, gonna Fault Line X3, get rid of the Tatyova. Currently, we're 2 mana away from this Apex of Power, assuming that we don't use the Grim Monolith. A land off the top would actually be really nice. Then we could cast our commander without having to use the Grim Monolith. Cultivate for the Tatyova. Yep, that's why I blew it up. Tatyova, unfortunately, sitting on Counterspell mana with 2 blue and a green. Don't know if they have one, but it very much looks that way. Kodama's Reach for the Intet opponent. Brings it back to our turn. It is Hellkite's interesting. Do we have enough to flash it down? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we have exactly enough to flash down the Hellkite, which is another way for us to get rid of the Tatyova. Sounds good to me. Oh man, I kind of wish we had another mountain. This Tectonic Edge is hurting a little bit. Because of everything's red, we only have 3 red sources currently. So that's a little bit awkward. Mercurial Chemister coming down. Opponent's going to play a Harrow. Okay. So sitting on Harrow, not Counterspell. But they are using a lot of their ramp cards just to be able to recast Tatyova instead of having Tatyova in play and drawing a bunch of cards and gaining a bunch of life while they're playing all those things. I have a feeling that opponent will be quite surprised when they see Boggart and Hellkite. It's honestly not the best in Commander. There are a lot of things with 6 in Commander, which makes that 5 damage not the best. And at 8 mana, it's a bit slow. But it's in our deck, so we're going to try to make use of it right here if things look good. Yep, Tatyova coming down. Gets to plays a land, gets to draw 1 card, lose 1 life. We'll wait another set. Yeah, they could still have counterspell mana. That would be annoying. We will wait to the end step of the Intet opponent's turn just to see if they're holding on to a counterspell. That really does look like a counterspell, though. Phyrexian Metamorph coming down. Now is a good time to try this. If we play the Hellkite, they could copy the Hellkite, shoot our Hellkite. That's not the best. Maybe we just Magma Quake. Let them copy Tatyova and then Magma Quake? Yeah, I think that's the plan. Oh, gonna go with the Chemister. Interesting. Opponent apparently really looking for some card draw. Well, I still think we Magma Quake, so let's fire that off. Magma Quake X3. Opponent's gonna transmute a Muddle the Mixture. Cyclonic Rift. Opponent's gonna tap the Chemister to draw 2 cards. Forgot that it has haste off of the Teamer Ascendancy. Oh, no, they actually cast Muddle the Mixture. They didn't transmute it. Oh, that sucks. There's a Spine Rock Null. Kind of hoping for something untapped right there, but what can you do? Play the Spine Rock Null, get to hide something away. Let's go with the Hellkite Charger. 3 land. Oh, man, we could have used those lands. At least that Muddle the Mixture didn't turn into a Cyclonic Rift. That's good news. Teamer Ascendancy for the Jodah opponent. So possibly on some kind of creature plan. Could be Eldrazi. That's a thing. Jodah coming down. Gonna get to draw a card with Teamer Ascendancy. Yeah, that makes sense. Opponent's gonna be in for a world of hurt if they attack into us. Jodah's not really a commander that you attack with, though. Oh, he's gonna do it! Oh, this is gonna be good. Yes, do it! Do it! Yes! Oh, I hope no one has a free counter spell. Gonna be 2 for 1-ing. So 3 to the Tatyova, 2 to the Tatyova opponent. Tatyova goes down. We will block the Jodah. That is a nice 2 for 1 right there. Yeah, that's why you don't attack with Jodah, especially into open mana. I know that there aren't a lot of flash cards in red, but still there's a lot of like burn and instant burn spells in red. So we've played Magma Quake and Fault Line already, so we've already shown that we have instant speed stuff. Not a great play by our opponent right there. Jodah is a commander that should be staying put. Opponent recasts their Tatyova, spending a lot of mana to do so, but if we could haste this Balefire Dragon down for some reason, that would be quite comical. 3 visits for the Intet opponent. Problem is that the other 2 opponents are both sitting there with Teamer Ascendancies and the Chemisters, so they can just draw cards for days, which is not the best. It's turn 7, and they've basically used like no resources, and I've been working very hard to keep Tatyova in check. There's the mountain that we've finally been looking for. Did we just run Balefire Dragon out there? Seems risky. We could also go... We could go Dragon Speaker this turn and then pay 4 to untap Grim Monolith. What does that do for... Does that mean we can go Apex of Power next turn? Go 3, 4, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I like that plan. Let's do that. So go with the Dragon Speaker this turn. Both opponents have haste. That's, that means anything big can come down and hurt us badly. It's not the best. I mean, or do we go... You know what? I'm not expecting a board wipe this turn, so I'm actually going to go Lathliss, because if we have Lathliss down and we Apex of Power into a couple dragons, then we get many dragon tokens. Plus, that'll give us a blocker, which is nice. Going to go at the Jodah opponent for a second. They've got a lot of card draw, full grip of 7. So they go down to 28. Let's cast Lathliss, getting all the cost reduction, and pass a turn like that. There's also a chance, too, that we draw something like Ancient Tomb, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, something like that off the top. Which would get us into the Apex of Power next turn. But I have this bad feeling right now that, like, Apex of Power by itself isn't going to be enough. Especially, all of our opponents are playing, like, these really big top-end decks. And we're at turn 8 currently, so we haven't done a good job of controlling things up to this point. They've just been drawing cards and ramping like crazy. So the bigger we can go, the better. The only problem is that they're probably getting close to doing some really crazy stuff. We may not have enough time. Well, wasn't expecting that. That's a Merciless Eviction, exiling all creatures. Probably a good thing, though. Get rid of Tatyova, get rid of these 2 Chemisters that have been drawing cards like crazy. And, I mean, it's going to cost Tatyova so much mana to recast their commander. It is quite comical. And they basically just have to keep tapping out to do it, which is even better. Means they can't sit back on counterspell mana. That does thwart our plan, though, of we won't be able to cast Apex of Power this turn. Unless we draw one of those cards that I mentioned earlier. Nissa's Renewal for our opponent. Well, better than if Tatyova was in play. I really wasn't actually expecting a board wipe last turn. Like, we had a couple creatures out, and we could do a little bit, but no one else really had anything threatening out. I mean, I know the Chemister's drawing a bunch of cards. Tatyova and the Chemisters are all value engines. But I would call that a pretty good read by our opponent. If I were in that same position, because I really don't like Tatyova in play, and I really don't like my opponents drawing cards, I probably fire that thing off too. But from where I was sitting last turn, I really didn't expect that our opponents would be playing any board wipes. So that was kind of a misread of the situation by me. Although maybe they don't play one if we don't have so many dragons in play. We did definitely overcommit into the board wipe a little bit. 4 open blue mana for the Tatyova, always scary. Our turn will probably consist of just untapping Grim Monolith. Thespian Stage, what's it going to copy? It's going to copy the Bounce Land? Okay, no big deal. Intet the Dreamer finally coming down. Opponent's going to Mind Static the Intet opponent. Oh, there's one I've never seen. There are just way better counterspell options at 4 mana? Yeah, way better counterspell options at 4 mana. Ooh, opponent's going to Pactive Negation the Mind Static. That's fun. Opponent really wants their Intet in play. If we can either blow up the lands or make lands not untapped, opponent would lose. But I don't think we have any tools like that in this deck. Opponent's going to swing into the Tatyova. Sounds good to me. Intet's going to get a trigger, but opponent has no mana left. And Tatyova down to 37, 6 commander. Ooh, that's a Scourge of Courageous. Can we cast it? 4, 5, 6, 7. We are 1 short. Ugh. Well, we're going to pass the turn, and we will untap the Grim Monolith at some point. And then consider our options for next turn in either Apex of Power or other things. Rhystic Study. Ew. Bident of Thassa. All the value cards. If opponent could have any more value-based cards. I don't know if opponent can have any more value-based cards. That they have all of the value-based cards. All of the ones ever printed in all of Magic, all the way back to 1993. In these 4. Tatyova is spending a comical amount of mana to recast their commander. I believe that was 13. Pays for the Rhystic Study. Maybe it was 11. They paid 11. Be funny if we blow it up one more time. Pactive Negation trigger on the Intet opponent. They need to pay or lose the game. Gruul Turf for our opponent. Sculpting Steel for our opponent. That could be quite a few things. Well, Bident of Thassa is a good one. Opponent pays for the Rhystic Study. Yep, copies the Bident of Thassa. Seems pretty good. Tech gonna swing back at the Tatyova. Sounds good. Now that everyone's tapped out, we're going to untap our Grim Monolith. That'll allow us to F6. So Bident of Thassa trigger and Intet trigger, again, has no mana open. There's a Valakut. Do we have enough mana? We should have enough mana. Play the Valakut. Yeah, we should have exactly enough for this Apex of Power. I don't think there's going to be a better time to do it. All of our opponents are tapped out. So they would need a free counterspell. And one of them already used theirs. So Apex of Power. Don't have the mana for the Rhystic Study. Opponent's going to get to draw one. Choosing red. Earthquake would be funny. Oh, man. So we have 10 mana. We do have some cost reduction. Cost reduction is kind of a big deal. Conjurer's Closet is fun. Yeah, maybe Conjurer's Closet's not... It's good if we have our commander down, but we don't currently. Stranglehold is just generally good. It would cost us 3. Gauntlet of Might would get us some doubling. Oh, Conjurer's Closet is a really nice combo piece. I think it's going to be definitely Gauntlet of Might. We can't not have that one. Opponent's going to get to draw the Rhystic Study. Actually, we've got 6 left, so we could go Conjurer's Closet. I think we've delayed the Tatyova probably long enough. We will pay for the Rhystic Study. I think Stranglehold is safer. There's a lot of blue opponents at the table, which means tutors and... well, now I wish I didn't pay for the Rhystic Study because X is only 1 on the Earthquake. Yeah, we'll go X1 just to get some value out of it, ping our opponents a little bit. And we'll pay for the Rhystic Study. Can't do much with the Conjurer's Closet. Gonna have to let it go away. The thing that I worry about now is that I don't know if we'll untap again in this game. It's turn 10, and opponents have been generating value all game. That Apex of Power, it wasn't bad. It didn't do quite as much as I'd hoped, and that's partially because we didn't get any of our ramp down early. Things like Gauntlet of Might, you want to get down fairly early. We've been a little bit landlocked. It's turn 10. We've missed some land drops. So if we were able to cast the Apex of Power and still had maybe 2 mana left, from lands that we could tap, that would have been really helpful, and we probably would have been able to get everything with the cost reduction on Ruby Medallion. But also, the mana curve in our deck is a bit high, which means that maybe Apex of Power is not the best card. Opponent just returned to Dust something. What'd they hit? They went for Teamer Ascendancy, and... Oh, they went after Stranglehold and Teamer Ascendancy. Well, here comes the extra turn spells. Means that Stranglehold was probably the correct call, in the sense that an opponent felt compelled that they had to deal with it, which might slow them down just enough. There's a Shalai. Shalai's fine. Tatyova had 12 commander damage from the Intet. Tet just swinging away. Still at 30 life, though, and that's the problem. Their life total just stays high. Explosive Vegetation, Heuristic Study trigger, and the life gain and card drawing is about to start. Delayed it for 10 turns, but because they're still alive, it's going to get going now, so it's not great. Manglehorn for our opponent. Let's see what artifact they go after. A lot of Binded of Thassa's. Hopefully not the Gauntlet of Might, although we've been targeting Tatyova down all game, so there is not exactly going to be a lot of goodwill there. Oh, nice. Goes after the Greaves of the Intet opponent. It's good. Brittle Effigy coming down. Interesting. Another Heuristic Study trigger. Gets to draw with it. Ancestral Vision is suspended for the Intet opponent and is going to tick down. Intet going back to the Tatyova. It would be good if Tatyova uses the Brittle Effigy on Intet and not any of our stuff. Yep, gonna Brittle Effigy the Intet. So opponents finally using some resources against each other, which is good. More importantly, not against us. Intet coming back to play. Gonna pay for the Heuristic Study. Mizium Transreliquant. Becomes a copy of target artifact until end of turn. Weird. I don't know what you do with that. We draw a Crucible of Worlds. No fetch lands currently, so that's a little bit frustrating. We could Tectonic Edge something. That would be sure to upset our opponents, though. We'll see. Really like to get our commander into play. Heuristic Study's gonna trigger. Man. We should probably pay for it. I'm actually thinking I'm not gonna pay for the Heuristic Study right here. I think because... we're going to be one short. Yeah, well, play Crucible of... play Crucible of Worlds, and we'll just pay for the Heuristic Study. Next turn, we can Tectonic Edge ourselves. Shoot Valakut, get a mountain out of our deck with the Tectonic... Oh, no, that's not a Ghost Quarter. Well, we can Tectonic Edge something. We'll see. But our commander is down. At least gives us a blocker. Still very nervous about what our opponents are doing. They all have basically full hands, a lot of lands, and a lot of cards. So lots of reasons to be nervous. Maelstrom Archangel coming down. Really cool card. Does have haste. And Tatyova has no flying blockers. So opponent probably about to get a free cast on something. Does also have Fist of Suns in play. So they can cast things for Wooburg instead of their mana cost. And time stretch. There's Iona naming red. Awesome. What could be better than that? Opponent says don't quit. Means they probably have something. Opponent's going to swing in with the Maelstrom Archangel. I mean, they have 12 cards. If they're playing big things in their deck to cheat in, they've got to have at least one of them. Biden of Thassa is going to trigger, and Maelstrom Archangel will trigger. Let's see what opponent casts for free. Prismatic Geoscope, huh? I mean, of all the things that you expect to come down when an opponent has 12 cards and casting something for free, that's not the one that I was expecting. Swords to Plowshares on Intet. Intet goes down. Goes back up to 43 life, though. Nice and high life total for this point in the game. Actually, life totals haven't moved all that much. A little bit of damage into the Tatyova. They've gained a bunch of life. They've gained some life back. Moderate amount of damage into the Jodah. They're at 23. A lot of that's the Phyrexian Arena that's been out all game, though. Oh, God, I can't say that. Peregrination. I don't know. Search your library for 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards. Put one onto the battlefield tapped. The other in your hand. Shuffle your library, then scry one. Yeah, seems fine. Bad Cultivate. It's like a Cultivate with a Scry, just that it's 4 mana, which is a bit slow. There are cards that I like much better at 4 mana, but Tatyova's probably just running all of them, so that's going to get them some card draw. I mean, there's 3 blue opponents at the table. Eventually, someone's just going to run into a Cyclonic Rift, and that's probably going to do it. Journey of Discovery, more lands, and it is entwined. Spoils Victory. Search your library for a Plains, Island, Swamp, Mountain, or Forest card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped. It is a bad Farseek. And Acidic Slime. Well, there's a whole host of things that they can go after that is not ours. Heuristic Study and Fist of Suns, probably the best 2. Teamer Ascendancy is also a bit scary. Goes after the Heuristic Study. That's a great call. It's already drawn him like 15 cards. Don't need to draw him 15 more. Thought Vessel coming down for the Intet. Stunt Double. Copying Iona. Choosing white. Well, that's funny. Probably would have chose blue, personally. Please copy Iona again. And Cyclonic Rift. Boom. Yep, 3 blue opponents. Someone was going to find one sooner or later. Interestingly, this isn't one of those Cyclonic Rifts that's going to end the game. What it will do is make the Jodah opponent have to discard the hand size, because I doubt that they can get 21 cards out of their hand this turn. We draw a Hellkite Tyrant. Use all of our non-mountains to play the Gauntlet of Might. An opponent can't recast the Iona because of the other Iona. That's funny. Maybe we could just cast the Hellkite Tyrant and start stealing stuff. Jodah has many artifacts, so that's not the worst idea. Or do we just try to get all... I think we got to get something of substance down. So... Ooh, our commander's in our hand. Cast our commander first. Thought she was in the command zone, but... Yep, Cyclonic Rift sends it back to the hand. So play our commander, and then next turn we just start slamming dragons and making dragon tokens. Temur Ascendancy coming down. Interesting that they have that. They really haven't played very many creatures. Seen like Iona, Jodah, and not much else. The Chemister? That isn't a reason that you would run Temur Ascendancy, though. Thran Temporal Gateway. That'll bring the Iona back into play. Let's see if... I mean, does it make sense for them to even choose red? I don't know. Even if they do, we still have a bunch of artifacts out. So, yep, going for the Iona. We'll have haste, and they'll get to draw a card. Chooses blue. Yeah, that's probably the better option, opponent, quite honestly. And now, I mean, our opponents are locked out of two colors. Like, what do we do here? Blue and white are off the table. Each of our opponents are playing blue. That means Cyclonic Rifts are gone. Day of Judgment type of stuff is gone. Tatyova could have a field day with green cards. Avenger of Zendikar and Craterhoof Behemoth look incredible all day long, given the current Iona situation. Opponent says we owe him. Says it may not last long. Creatures are perishable. Yeah. What colors? Jodah does have access to black, which is an easy one. Green, probably not about to do mass board wipes, though there's some colorless ones. Though Iona is hard to hit, because it doesn't get hit by Ugin. You would need Oblivion Stone. All His Dust is fine. Very reasonable for a Simic deck if they're needing board wipes. Manglehorn coming down. Please not the Gauntlet of Might. Goes after the Thran Temporal Gateway, so opponent can no longer cheat down historic cards and will be locked out of white permanents once again, and blue permanents. Ooh, Tatyova can't be recast. Also good news. Let's see what opponent discarded. Discarded a Mortify, a Chroma, Dig Through Time, Angelic Arbiter, that's a good one. Rampant Growth, why didn't they play any of this stuff? Phyrexian Arena got blown up. I don't know why they didn't play it. Like, they had all the cheat spells. They haven't drawn a lot of cards since the cheat spell. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know anymore. I would have been casting those creatures all day. It turns out Akroma is very good against Lathliss. Acidic Slime. Temur Ascendancy? Not our stuff. One time. Not our stuff one more time. Nope. Oh, it's the Gauntlet of Might. Yeah, I mean, it was probably about time for that to happen. Tatyova's got the most mana. Everyone else is limited on the amount of mana. Oh. Multani. Multani is a 22/22 with Reach and Trample. It's going to be real hard for our deck to deal with that. Someone else is going to have to deal with that nonsense. Farhaven Elf coming down. Opponent's going to get a land, draw a card. Ancestral Vision ticking down. There's a Blasphemous Act. Does not get rid of the Multani. Gets rid of the two Ionas, though. Also would take down our commander. Don't feel great about that. I think we just try to cast a bunch of dragons. Go for the Balefire Dragon. See what happens. Get a Lathliss trigger. Finally. 12 turns into the game. Finally get a Lathliss trigger. And pass the turn like that. So opponent gonna attack with the Iona into the Intet opponent. Opponent's gonna block with the Iona. That'll get rid of both Ionas. Unlocking both colors. A Crackling Doom for opponent. 2 damage to each opponent. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power that they control. For us, that'll be our commander. That does take care of the Multani. That's actually huge. So sacrifice Lathliss. So Multani coming back to play. Conjurer's Closet. It's going to be really punishing with the Acidic Slime. That might be a reason to Blasphemous Act. Conjurer's Closet for our opponent. On the Acidic Slime, let's see what it goes after. Acidic Slime back in, targeting the Fist of Suns. Ancestral Vision ticking down. Opponent going to cast Ancestral Vision. Far Wanderings for our opponent. That's all His Dust. Unfortunately, Multani just has the ability to keep coming back. Deprive? Yep. That's going to counter the All His Dust. Not out of the woods yet. Opponent's going to use Knowledge Exploitation. Search target opponent's library for an instant or sorcery card. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. I do not believe we have Insurrection in our deck. Though it would be very funny. That's also going to get counterspelled, so opponent's not going to find out what we have in our deck. Here's a Scavenger Ground. That's actually really relevant against the Multani. So play the Scavenger Ground. Unfortunately, it will exile itself, so not so great with Crucible of Worlds, but what can you do? We'll want to leave some mana up for that, which I think means we just play all of our mana rocks this turn. The other thing we can do, too, is we can also cast the Hellkite Charger. I like that plan. We're just going to blast Jodah. I mean, in all likelihood, I'm expecting Tatyova to win it, so we really can't block Multani anyway. We could stop some of the small guys, but it's the 22 that's really going to hurt. Balefire Dragon trigger, no creatures to hit. So sad. Although maybe that'll incentivize Tatyova to go over there for a turn. Use the Spine Rock Knoll. Cast the Hellkite Charger. And we need to leave 2 mana up for the Scavenger Grounds in the event that something should happen. Opponent's going to destroy all creatures, it looks like. Yep, that's fair game, it seems. Baneslayer Angel coming down. Gonna sacrifice a desert and exile all graveyards. So Multani gone. Now I don't know who's gonna win the game. Oh yeah, Baneslayer Angel does have protection from dragons, which is very, very relevant. It has haste, and opponent will get to draw a card, so they'll be gaining some life back. Man, this game just keeps going. Opponent swinging into us. Nothing we can do about it. So they'll gain some life back, and we will lose some life. Tatyova coming back to play for so much mana. Conjurer's Closet on the Tatyova. There's a Dax duplicant for our opponent. And Tatyova going to respond with a Void Shatter. Interesting. And Intet going to fire back with another counterspell of their own. That is a Spelljack. And Tatyova responds with a Last Word, so not interested in finding out what they're going to copy with the Dax duplicant, and having a good little counterspell battle right there. Brings it back to our turn. Finally find a fetch land. Play the fetch land. Crack the fetch land. Get a mountain. Play Crucible of Worlds. Play Grim Monolith. I'm not going to cast any of our dragons this turn because we're going to need to Blasphemous Act away these Baneslayer Angels. But we'll wait one more turn to see if we can catch opponents with, really kind of get them to overcommit into the Blasphemous Act. And as much as it makes me sad, I think we pass like that. Jodah coming back to play. Gonna get to draw a card with Teamer Ascendancy. Gisela coming into play. That's a big-time card. That means that Blasphemous Act will do 6 damage to everything. Still enough to kill. Still enough to get rid of Gisela, get rid of the Baneslayer Angel. So it looks like opponent's playing like a really janky Jodah Angel deck. The thing that I can't figure out is that, like, they're not really playing anything that wants Jodah's ability. Like, for Jodah's ability, you really need to be getting a lot of cost reduction to actually jump through the hoop of paying one of each color. And opponent really hasn't shown me a reason why they should be doing that. Really odd deck. One thing to think about is that all these creatures do have haste, so let's see where they want to point them. Oh, Baneslayer at us. Just the Baneslayer? You have a Gisela with haste? You're not going to attack with it? Opponent. Anyway, Baneslayer is going to get us for 10, and they will gain 10. Ugh. Indrink Stomp Howler. Probably going to go after a Crucible of Worlds. Really hope it doesn't. Nope, goes after the Teamer Ascendancy. That's good news. Oh, opponent's going to get to do it again with the Indrink Stomp Howler and Conjurer's Closet. It's not good. Goes after the Chromatic Lantern. Nice. Opponent's got a Vesuvian Doppelganger copied on a Baneslayer Angel. Now it's going to copy Gisela. Yep. 2 Giselas out. Things will do a lot of damage. Intet coming back to play. Back to our turn, we draw a Luxodon Warhammer. Part of me wants to Tectonic Edge our Spine Rock Knoll and replay it so that we can get the Hideaway again. That will set us behind on lands, and we're already behind on lands. Yeah, maybe we don't do that this turn. Just get crack the fetch land, play the fetch land, crack the fetch land. Ooh, we get a Volakut trigger. What can we shoot? What if we just, like, dome our opponent? See how much this is good for. 12? Good for 12? Yeah. So then I think it's going to be Blasphemous Act. Ooh, Snapcaster Mage. Opponent's going to Spelljack the Blasphemous Act. Opponent's going to quash the Spelljack, so having a little bit of a counterspell battle. Opponent's going to use the Biden of Thassa ability. Interesting. So all the creatures getting wiped away. See how much mana we have. So recast Lathliss. Lathliss is going to get hindered. Oh, man. So what happens when you let people draw like 50 cards? They just have all the counterspells. And then I think at the end step, we do the Tectonic Edge on the Spine Rock Null. Lyra Dawnbringer coming down. Opponent gained a lot of life back. They were down to like 12 or something. First strike is very relevant against our creatures. Ooh, Angel of Despair coming down. Gonna get the Conjurer's Closet. Opponent paying so much mana for their commander. I've lost count. I think it's around like 15 now. Beneath the Sand, searching for more lands. Opponent copies the Angel of Despair, shoots down the Lyra Dawnbringer, brings it back to our turn. Decided against the Tectonic Edge plan. I really think we just need to get more lands into play. Our commander's starting to get pretty expensive. Other things are getting expensive, so
I think Moorlands is where we want to be. Also, I think we're still a ways away from actually being able to use that ability. Crack the Wooded Foothills. Ooh, there's a Cipher. There's a stolen identity on that Angel of Despair. That's kind of bad news. Get a Mountain. Get a Volakut trigger. Shoot Tatyova. Opponent's going to Void Slime the Volakut trigger. Can't do a lot about the Angel of Despair right now. We have the Scourge of Courages, but it would blow itself up in the process, which is not the best. Gain us some life, though. Extra planar lands. Let's grab a mountain. Should have tapped the mountain first. Oops. We've got 12 mana to work with. How much is our commander? Plus some cost reduction. Commander is 11. Well, I guess we cast our commander. Leaves one floating and pass the turn. Jodah coming back to play. Ooh, Conflux. Conflux is really good this late in the game. Everyone's kind of low on cards. Opponent's going to get to search for a whole bunch. Gets a bunch of good ones. Zendikar Resurgent, Zakama, Omniscience, Mirari's Wake, and Brilliant Ultimatum. Is that in the game? I don't think they have enough for Zakama. But they have enough for Omniscience, which is enough for Zakama. That might be it. Mirari's Wake, Zendikar Resurgent, Zakama coming down. Opponent going to draw a card. Opponent should have saved that Void Slime and just let Tatyova go. Brilliant Ultimatum. Here's a card you don't really see ever. That Myojin is pretty good right here. Draw a lot of cards with that thing. Myojin coming down. Gets to draw a card. Plays a Diabolic Tutor. And there's a time stretch. This should do it. So Tatyova scoops it up. Intet scoops it up. And I think we are fine to scoop it up. There's an Enter the Infinite. Yeah, definitely okay to scoop it up. Ooh, that was a long game. That was a really long game. That game was 2 hours. Yeah, it just felt like we were behind all game. We didn't really get any card advantage, and our opponents were all card advantage. So, possibly a shortcoming in this deck. Not great against heavy control.
So like I said, this video was filmed in July of last year, but I think there's a lot of good things that we can take away from this video. And so what that means is that, 1, Commander 18 cards were not yet available on Magic Online, which is actually kind of a big deal. And 2, things like the play with Spine Rock Knoll, I didn't learn, I think it was a few months later, you can actually cast things at instant speed that you wouldn't normally be able to. So we definitely could have saved our Hellkite Charger, and not that that necessarily wins us the game, but it could have done some things that changed the outcome of the game. But anyway, the main problem in this game is that we miss land drops. And when a game goes, what was it? I think it was like 17 turns, 18 turns, something like that. If you've made all your land drops over that many turns, you're going to be able to do so much more than your opponents. And we just flat out miss land drops, and the reason that we missed land drops is that we didn't draw enough cards. So like I said, this video was actually filmed before Commander 18 was released on Magic Online. Something as simple as an Endless Atlas would have been incredible in this game. So yeah, all of our opponents were drawing cards like crazy in this game. We did not draw cards at that same level, so we just didn't have as many tools to work with. But even though we didn't see as many cards, a lot of the cards we played were pretty high impact. A lot of board wipes, a lot of big dragons, dragons with removal attached to them, stuff like that. But again, we just didn't draw enough cards to be able to get everything out there and keep refueling. So, you know, really big deal. Like I said, something as simple as an Endless Atlas, even a Mind's Eye would have been incredible in this game. Would have really helped us to keep pace. And especially another thing too, is that there were a lot of turns where we were stuck with big things in our hand that we either didn't want to play or didn't have the mana to play. Like if we could have at least done something on those turns. This game really came down to we didn't generate enough value, while our opponents were generating tons and tons of value. So I think that was the main problem, and it just goes to show that no matter what kind of deck you're playing, you should always have enough card draw, and I was probably running just a little bit too light on card draw in this particular deck when we played. And another thing too is that most games of Commander won't go this long, at least in my experience, you know, unless that's just how your meta plays. But yeah, on average, games will be much shorter than this, but I think in the back of your mind, it's always a good idea to have a plan for, well, what if this game just goes really long and there's all kinds of removal, like, how do we do anything? So, like for us, if we were holding an Insurrection at some point when there was like multiple Gisellas in play, Insurrection would have been a nice closer. Always have a plan for late game, I need to close this game out, we need to get something big. I think this deck is lacking just a little bit in terms of explosiveness, but that's something that I think could probably be easily rectified with just, you know, running a Fervor. If you have a Fervor in play and you go Lathliss, cast another dragon, and they've all got haste, you can pull off some pretty big hits that way, just that things never really quite work worked out for us. And again, that probably also ties back to just the lack of card draw that we, did not catch in this game. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.